It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we got another beer from S43 Brewery. This brewery gets me so excited. I've had some incredible beers from S43 Brewery. This one has a wax top. It's called BigFoot. It's an Imperial Stout, but it's not just any old Imperial Stout. This is a barrel-aged smoked maple and coffee breakfast stout at 11% ABV. So they haven't written Imperial on the bottle, but it is Imperial because it's 11% ABV. I'm so excited for this beer. So excited. Without further ado, I'm going to have to get my knife just to start off this little bit of wax. There's not too much wax actually. I just need enough to get my bottle. That's probably enough. I just need to get my bottle opener over that. There we go, here we go. Look at the smoke! Did you hear that? It was like a little explosion, that big hiss as soon as I opened that bottle. Here we go then. Here's the pour. Oh, look at this, everybody. Looking at the beer, look at my face. It's like super excited. We got a 1 to 2 finger. I'm going to say 2 finger because it did have a 2 finger when I give it that little bit of that kind of rigorous pour going on. That 1 to 2 finger tan coloured head, jet black beer in the glass. Smoked maple. That's an interesting one for me. Maple has always been I like it, but it's a little bit weird. But I don't think I've ever had smoked maple. New for me. There's no light bleeding through that glass whatsoever. Look at the density of that beer. Little bits of carbonation rolling up the side of the glass. Let's get that aroma then. Wow. Roasty, toasty, smoky, chocolate, coffee, caramel. Biscuity, nutty, bready, plum, fig, prune from the hops. You definitely get a little bit of that maple. You definitely get a little bit of smokiness. Should we dive in? Cheers, everybody. My goodness. That is so decadent. That is so dense. The one thing I am going to say is they've really tried to balance the beer. They've really tried to knock out some of that kind of roasty, toasty bitterness you get usually from an Imperial Stout. And they've done that with sweetness. They've done that with a load of sweetness. If you're a fan of traditional Imperial Stout, now for me, regardless of the description, if you looked at that on a shelf in your bottle shop, at 11% ABV, called BigFoot Stout, you'd be thinking, oh, you know, got that gold letter, the black label. You'd be thinking this is going to have a load of roasty, toasty bitterness to it. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's knocked out by that kind of breakfast aspect of the beer, that kind of sweetness that they've added to the beer. And I'm gonna say, it's beautifully smooth. It's wonderfully kind of velvety, smooth, and fantastically drinkable for 11% ABV. But if you're a fan of complexity, like I mentioned earlier on, if you want to taste sweetness and bitterness and chocolate, coffee, caramel, and all of these other wonderful flavors that you only think about when you think about kind of Imperial Stouts or Imperial Porters or barrel-aged versions of those beers, it's not quite there. It's not. This is like an evolution of that, even though we didn't need the evolution in the first place. This is like when traditional American IPA with all of that bitterness. If you think of the old-fashioned double IPAs, they had that kind of raw bitterness to them. And then came along the New England IPAs, the Vermont-style New England IPAs, where all the flavour was in the middle and there wasn't much bitterness on the back end. It's almost as if that way of thinking in the IPA world has drifted over to the Imperial Stout world. But I really don't think the Imperial Stout world needs it. I don't think you pick up an Imperial Stout to get rid of complexity, to get rid of chewing over a million flavours in your head. I think you buy an Imperial Stout for that very reason. Unless I'm wrong. Unless I'm wrong. Question is, do I like it? There's so much sweetness. So much sweetness. The more I'm drinking this, the more cloying and sweet flavours I'm getting. And for a man of my age, 43 years of age, if I drank this whole glass of beer, I'd have to go for a 10-mile walk just to get rid of the calories. Never mind me being at 43 doing it. Maybe youngsters at 20 years of age. Maybe that's who this is marketed at. Younger drinkers. But I warn you, younger drinkers, that if you buy overly sweet beers like this, then you'll quickly, if you ever had a chiseled jaw and you looked rather trim and, you know, you get into the beer world, very quickly, by drinking these overly sweet beer, I cannot imagine the amount of calories in this beer. I wouldn't even like to guess the amount of calories and sugar and sweetness, and just to be able to take away that bitterness from the roasted malt. I can't imagine how much sweetness is in this beer. It must be off the scale. But if you want to keep that jawline, if you want to keep that clean cut jawline, then this is probably not for you. In fact, just after reviewing this beer, just after I finish reviewing this beer, I'm probably going to process the video and upload it to YouTube. And then I'm probably going to go for a 6-mile walk just to shift the calories. It feels heavy. It feels overly syrupy and sweet. It's a shame. It's a shame because they probably put a lot of effort into it. For me, I'm going to go back to my whole 2022 theory of beer on a bad run. Beer on a bad run. Beer. I don't want my Imperial Stouts to be overly sweet. I want to taste that bitterness. I want to taste that roasted chocolate coffee caramel. That's the reason why I drink Imperial Stouts, breakfast stouts, whatever you want to call them. It's too sweet for me. Just imagine you like the roastedness. You like that kind of bitter roastedness. Now, the reason why I can taste the sweetness in this beer is because I've taken sugar completely out of my diet. If you put 2 spoonfuls of sugar in my tea, my lips burn. My mouth warms up. It's like, ugh, what's this cloying, horrible stuff in my tea? And that's the reason why I can taste the sugar, the sweetener, the whatever it is in that beer. So if you're drinking this beer and you have 2 sugars in your tea and you like to eat sweets and you like to eat lots of chocolate and millions of people do, then you'll probably be standing here wondering, what is that guy talking about? But trust me, it's there. I can taste it. It's not very nice. I'm going for a 6-mile walk. I'm going to rate it. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a 5 out of 10. It's a 5 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. S43 Brewery, up until now, have been knocking it out the park for me. But I just do not see the point in producing overly sweet Imperial Stout. I do not see the point at all. Hope you liked the video. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers!